Hello, me and Saise HornbillTV laga NAGAMESE Express. My name is Gikon. Wokade taka Mount College Thursday day taken laga third kite flying festival manaishi. Winter Theological College Vankosongbra. Ito college laga idu academic session laga last program tagishe. Kude students kange taken laga stress aro tensions kanbra bahar ulabule kite urabule digina ahya end semester exam karne tayar kurbule madat kuri ase. Kite urade judges kanbra Twitter category de bi judge kurishe sobse innovative kite aro sobse bhal pilot opor. College laga vice principal sentiment la jamira kite urar aro students laga life logode compare kurigina gushe kite do string logode lagaigina julawle lagia nishna jawan manu kan bi major manu kunupa laga guidance lage aro iniga nishna kite urabra lessons kan bi learn kurubule lage gushe. Aji Desh Day National Press Day Mania Day Dimapur Press Club pe observe kurushe media in the era of artificial intelligence laga team loina. Guest speaker Sashi Wabang, Additional Commissioner Central Goods and Service Tax Dimapur bra gushe nijor state laga revenue do 12% hi ase gushe aro 88% do central government ke depend gure gushe.
When it comes to our local media, compared to political news, compared to social news, compared to entertainment news, economic news, things to do with analysis of business, economy, taxation, finances, this is an area which doesn't get as much coverage as the others. You will agree with me, right? For a state that depends hugely on central funding, I think we need more public discourse on the state in which our economy is running. I'll just present a few numbers. Please don't shut yourself, because many times when it comes to numbers, we just do this, okay? But this is with a point. I'll keep coming back to this number. Out of the money that the government is spending every year, only 12% is coming from money which is earned in Nagaland itself. So in budgetary terms, our own revenue, state's own revenue is 12%, which means 88% we are always dependent on Delhi, right? We're always dependent on central funding to do our everyday work. So then, our economic freedom, our ability to do the things that we want to do is greatly dependent on if we can increase this a little bit more. Our flexibility to do things is restricted. Why? Because out of our budget also, if you see, 2/3 of the budget goes to salaries of government servants and pension. So 66% of what we are spending is a fixed thing already. So with the remaining, we get to do what we want to do. So when we increase the size of the cake exponentially across the board, other things also will increase, right? And when it comes to central funding, one thing is that many times it's a 90-10. In the sense, center says we put in 90%, you put in 10%. But when our own bowl is so less, many times we miss out on a lot of central funding because we cannot even put that 10%. So you can imagine what I mean to say when exponential growth will be there, because even as we increase our own bowl, the ability to access more also rises, right? Even this bowl is divided into two parts, our state revenue. I'm not going to use technical terms, but basically the 12% that we are gathering comes from two sources. One is coming through taxation, the other one through non-tax revenue, you call it, okay? So when you talk about tax revenue, it's mostly coming from GST. There's another tax, state excise, which we could have earned had NLTP not been there, right? For other states, this is a big amount that is earned. For us, mostly it is coming through GST. On the other hand, the non-tax revenue, there are many ways in which other states earn it, lotteries, collection through power department, water supply, these kind of things. So for Nagaland, despite the weaknesses that are there in the power department as far as collection of revenue, so far, that is one area where we're getting, for the non-tax revenue, the most part, right? So this 12% mostly, by and large, I would say is coming from GST. Let us look at what are the ways in which we also can help to increase this kind of revenue. Why I'm sharing it with the media is because I think we have a role in shaping public opinion and helping to make informed decisions, even in this area. The Honorable Chief Minister, in his budget speech this year earlier, had mentioned some of the ways in which our state government is thinking of to increase this part, increase this 12%. So he has mentioned one, the state will examine possibility of loosening NLTP to the fact that sale of liquor to foreign nationals. I'm just talking about what the government has stated. Two, introduction of sale of lotteries. Okay. Previously, what Nagaland Lotteries has been doing is, it is outsourced to distributors who sell Nagaland lotteries in other states. But for the first time we are starting it, I think you would have seen, there are now many lotteries. So this is another way in which the government is trying to increase our own revenue. Thirdly, it has mentioned it will start oil exploration. Very contentious issue after negotiations with Assam and the central government, right? So here, from my personal experience, I think the way in which Nagaland or Northeast in general is viewed from Delhi has also changed in recent years. How? Look at the number of ministers that are visiting our state these days. Almost every month there is some union minister visiting, right? And it's beyond Kohima and Dimapur. They're going to the other districts. So along with them, some bureaucrats also come. Their idea of Nagaland is no longer that distant, mysterious, far off, inaccessible. They can see ground reality, what is actually happening, which also means they can see that the funds being pumped in, what is happening to them, right? So the funds coming from Delhi now more and more are tied with certain accountability and responsibility on our part as well. So when we start discussing issues that affect our development, issues in which this kind of revenue can also be increased, many times it is seen that the issues are actually something which we ourselves, we Nagas ourselves, need to get around, rather than for the central government or for an outsider or for Delhi to solve for us, many times. Let's take an example. Being in the GST department, and also personally, I feel that because for our youth, etc., chasing only government jobs may not be the avenue which everybody can do. Therefore, entrepreneurship needs to be encouraged. So therefore, when people get into entrepreneurship, taxation becomes important. So the GST outreach programs, this kind of thing, we've been doing a lot lately. Now, while doing this, it is also apparent we see that our economy is mostly the services sector, right? We hardly have anything manufacturing or industrialization to speak of. So therefore, when the question comes, how can we increase this industrialization in our state? So when this kind of discussion happens, very soon we get stuck on the issue of land. Because for industrialization to happen, and if we look at other states nearby who have also done it, Northeast states, let's say Meghalaya, for example. So when we talk about possibilities of Nagaland doing that, many times the issue gets stuck with our land issues, right? Another example I'll give you, the rich oil and gas reserves that we are sitting upon. According to a news estimate from the Hindu newspaper, the annual royalty which Nagaland is missing out on comes up to 1,800 odd crore yearly. This amount, why I stated, is it's just a few crores less than that 12% which I talked about, right? So for us, if you unlock one or two of these things, the kind of exponential growth that can happen is enormous. Many times the constitutional protections given to us, 371A, is to protect our religious, social, and customary practices. But we should not be guilty of getting into a position where we are constantly saying, leave us alone, but keep sending us your money. We cannot be saying we want to be comfortable in our ways, But India should keep feeding us. Because if we do this, then it amounts to constantly wanting development without responsibility on our part as well. I have thought a lot before making such a contentious sounding statement, but I say this because I believe our local analysis should drive our economics. Public opinion can be shaped on the need to become more independent economically as a state, which will allow us to be more flexible in the way we spend our funds.
As today we are celebrating this National Press Day under the theme Media in the Era of Artificial Intelligence. With this emergence of artificial intelligence, in fact, we are getting more smarter. And this is the intelligence that makes us equipped with more efficient tools to perform our duties as media persons. But nevertheless, when we talk about this artificial intelligence, it always came to my mind that whatever things that is a tech, artificials, it is the creation. It is the creation only created by a natural one. And even the artificial intelligence is created by the humans. So with the emergence of this artificial intelligence, if we just keep on depending on this artificial intelligence as our assistance to perform our duties, then we make ourselves artificial. And that will be a tragedy for all of us. And that will be a very poor presentation as a media person in front of the public. So even on our part, in filing the report and getting the informations, if we rely only on the artificial intelligence, then many a times, even though it's an intelligence that it has been created, it may not be so accurate. And people will take us in a very poor light. I therefore encourage all our media persons here to be smarter than artificial intelligence and not to rely on the artificial intelligence even if this facility is available. Nothing like have our own natural, nothing like have our own creation, nothing like having our own source of information.
Kohima Additional Deputy Commissioner aro Electoral Registration Officer Roseto Ngori etia jaitaga photo electoral roll special summary revision day Kohima de taka manukan kun eligible ase aro enroll nakurigina taka khange second special camp November 17 aro 18 day thagibole lagade enroll kurubole janaise special camp day polling station pura de thagibole ase etu nimide enroll kurigina nathaka khange kuribole request kurise. Meluri Pochuri Hoho Hall Bra 15 Din Livelihood Training aro Financial Literacy Session thakibole nimide aji Thursday shuru hoise. Program ge NTTC PEC Police Ladies Club Meluri aro Tizu Club aro Meluri Students Union pra organize kori ase aro PEC laga Superintendent of Police Dr. Britpal Kaur bra inaugurate kori dishe. Ito homoy Dr. Gorbra participants kan ge nasha hwa laga saman kan nohoigina mon digina alag gam kuribi koise aro school dropouts aro students kan kun kam pisari ase taiken entrepreneurship bhavana kuri sabole lage koise taibra team work opor kotha kuria homoy societies kan ge taiken laga products kan market de loi jabole nimide registration kuribi koise aro taiken laga products laga nam thik digina food safety laga license number lobi koise Taibra bamboo handicrafts laga artisans kan gibi mondigina kam guribi gushe idu bra society bi shanti aro ake jabo gushe idu homoy meluri laga SBI branch manager second year bra farmers entrepreneurs aro self help groups kan nimide loan schemes kan bishi thaga opor kotha kurise nisevor nipi kun NTTC de instructor ase taibra training opor jankari dishe 50 laga opor maiki aro students kan participate kurise Mizoram laga Zokhautar area Champai district de 5,000 Myanmar nationals polai ahina shelter lo ase kundu Myanmar army bra Indo Myanmar border area se air strike kura bishide district administration NGOs Young Mizo Association aro village council bra food clothes aro medicine provide kurishi Myanmar refugees kange Zokhautar laga ekta leader Young Mizo Association bra gushi ki 4 to 5 refugees camp area de ase Zokhautar do ekta bosti ase Mizoram laga Champai district de 160 Myanmar families Libuide reside Korease Lokautar area de Young Mizo Association laga financial secretary F Bia King Sangha bra gushigi 5,000 to 6,000 manunishna Myanmar bra ase India de
kan la man lawa ai in la yang ma kan ron kyang ma law shruk pon kai ma ni sim fen po he kan man lawa ka dikan kan ron tlan che top mai kan law lu to ka lao thau ina po kan la hong ngam law ta hen kan cheng char kai ma rin dan chuan hai spai barma spai hawin hemi kem hian la chuan an thin ri ma ron lak let hi an tum ni beran ka sia kai ma a chuan
kaming chu estal pek moinia e an in ka don ti kan shet khan hei nau te kan ngai to sia kan ron tlana chuan I ama bom per po boma po khan kan in chunga khan e lei noi vel kha ron tla kan hlau lu to ka ta han azan kan ron tlan o hlau tun chu kan in po khamo bomina pera achia chuan hona chi pol ani lo kan veng chu khami an kem noi che khania I fighter tiang te kha ron thok liang ti kha kan hlawa sipai hi an ron da belanga an kap liang ti kan hlau
Thursday morning dinne Manipur laga militants pra Assam Rifle Troops ke improvised explosive device lagagina ambush kurishe Tengnobal district laga Saibol area de jawans kan regular patrol contact kura homoy holibi kunbi injured wa nai daikan mine protected vehicle de travel kura karne aro official bragushi ki IED blast hwa bichide heavy firing kurishe militants kan bra Senior Defense Officer bragushi ki daikan bi militants opor fire back kurishe edu biche militants kan spot pra polai jashe Militants pra low intensity IED plant kurishe aro small firearms use kurigina Assam Rifle gari obor fire kurishe gushe search operation Julia ase attackers kan get trace kurubule additional personnel kan airlift kurishe aro kunubado more de by road bataishe counter terror measures kane taikan militants kan kun town de lukaina thage aro Indo Myanmar para India de ahe idu identify kurase idu mahina At least 200 Assam Rifle personnel kan ge airlift kurishe more town de aro security forces fra militants kan ge flash out korle launch kurishe especially Myanmar laga infiltrators opor kun recent attack de senior police officer murishe edu de involved thaga Madhya Pradesh Assembly constituencies Chindwara milagina kude former Chief Minister Kamal Nath pi contest kurubule ase tade polls jabule set hoigina ase Friday de Sadda state assembly constituencies majude tinda states to scheduled tribe karne reserve ase aro ekta scheduled caste karne Thursday polling materials kan election officials ke distribute kurishe Sausar Assembly constituency Chindwara de returning officer Angita Tripathi bra NIA gushi ki polls nimide officials kan laga training sop hoise Indoor 5 crore opor 60 lakh voters ra daikan laga representatives choose kurbo 230 assembly constituencies pra
इंदौर जिले में टोटल 9 विधानसभा है आपका 2561 पोलिंग स्टेशंस हैं 1371 है ना लोकेशंस हैं हमारी 238 है, 238 सेक्टर से ना बनी हुई है। एक एक सेक्टर में मतलब आपका है ना 12-13 है ना ऐसे मतदान केंद्र है। आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं मतदान है ना सामग्री वितरण स्थल पे 9 विधानसभा को 9 कलर में है ना मतलब है ना सजाया गया है। इंदौर बनेगा वोटिंग का त्यौहार, यही हमारा थीम भी है। तो इसलिए हम लोग को डेकोरेशन करने के लिए भी है ना हम लोगों ने ना कोशिश किए हैं। एंड हर मतदान केंद्र के लिए एक टेबल बनी हुई है। सो मतदान दल वहीं आके बैठते हैं, मतलब वहीं है ना मतलब वितरण होता है। एंड सारे सामग्री का है ना मतलब सुचारू रूप से सेक्टर ऑफिसर के द्वारा है ना देख भी रहा है, कोई भी है ना कमी है उस कमी को है ना मतलब है ना पूर्ति भी करा रहा है। एंड हमारी 2000 की ना कर्मचारी हैं सिर्फ है ना वितरण करने के काम में लगे हुए हैं। हमारी मतदान दल की टोटल 11,000 के ऊपर है। हमारी पुलिस फोर्स स्पेशल पुलिस ऑफिसर वो 7,500 है। सो 20,000 की आसपास है ना लोग है ना यहाँ उपस्थित है, अभी नेशनल ड्यूटी है ना करने के लिए तैयार।
Former CM and State Congress President Kamal Nath Kun Chindwara constituency bra kali contest kurble ase. Tai gushi tai Madhya Pradesh la voters logo complete fate ase aro tai can do truth logo side kurble bharosa ase gushi.
मध्य प्रदेश के मतदाताओं पर पूरा विश्वास है। वे प्रदेश की तस्वीर जहां हर वर्ग परेशान है देखकर सच्चाई का साथ देंगे।
बीजेपी कह रही है 600 के ऊपर रैली की, प्रधानमंत्री ने 15 रैली की, कांग्रेस उसके तुलना में थोड़ी कम पड़ी है।
देखिए हमने सब ने प्रयास किया, हमने सब अपनी जो हमें करना था हमने किया, जो उन्हें करना था उन्होंने किया।
नरेंद्र सिंह तो
BJP bra November 16 day Rajasthan Assembly polls laga manifesto release kurishe kundu subsidy of 450 per LPG cylinder hobo Ujwala scheme beneficiaries under day aro 2.5 lakh government jobs dibo Chebude Sangal Patra release kura homoy party chief JP Nadda bra koshi ki state day BJP government bra form kurishe gule special investigation team form kurina paper leak aro alak scams Congress government bra thaga investigate korbo ushe Maiki manukan oporde schemes kwa homoy taigushi ki mahila thana sob district e rakhibo aro mahila desk sob police station de thagibo tai announce kurichi ki rupees 2 lakh saving bond hobo maiki bacha chonom hwa de aro farmers kan laga mati auction hwa kan compensation announce kurishe Rajasthan do November 25 de bowling hobo aro results to December 3 de ulabo Ida arne manase aro side ki Hornbill TV